consumer, I personally like to think that I'm intelligent and rational in my decision making. However, if there's anything that I've picked up from my marketing classes, it is that all the advertising around me influences me a lot more than I think. How many ads do you think you see per day? 10? 100? 500? Well, according to a Forbes article released on the matter, we see on average 4,000 to 10,000 advertisements per day. While the study by Red Crow Marketing that reached this conclusion used everything from branding to actual ads, that is a lot of influence on us every day. In this video, I'm going to further expand on this idea of influence and talk about some of the consumer behavior tactics that are used to both get our attention and our money. Consumer behavior itself is about how people, either in groups or individually, acquire, use, experience, discard, and make decisions on the goods, services, and even lifestyle choices that they employ. This topic is important not only as an aspiring marketer, but also as a consumer to be conscious and aware of the many influences that marketing has on your day-to-day life, as well as the social impact that they can have on society. While there are many intricacies to the topic and obviously entire courses dedicated to studying consumer behavior, I'm just going to focus on some of the tangible, real actions that happen as a result of these studies. Specifically, I will talk about 8 applications of consumer behavior that you may not realize that you interact with on a daily basis. So, let's jump in. The first topic that we should consider pertains to perspective and framing, priming. Now, let's consider this picture. Is the word tasty the first word that comes to mind? Probably not unless you're a trash panda. But let's consider this picture instead. Tasty is much more quickly recognized and thought of. A study conducted by Arizona State's Naomi Mendel and Columbia's Eric Johnson demonstrated exactly this effect when using background colors for product web pages for vehicles and sofas. What they found with cars, for example, was that when the background was green with pennies, consumers immediately looked more at the price information, whereas when the background was red with flames, they looked more at the safety features instead. So, the next effect is called the DECOY effect and is many times seen with subscription-based services and products. So, let's consider the following scenario. You're given an online-only option for $59. You then have a print-only option for $125. Or you have a combination option with both of them for also $125. Which would you choose? The combo, right? It seems logical. You get something free, basically, out of it, right? Not necessarily. Duke professor Dan O'Reilly, author of Predictably Irrational, a personal favorite book of mine, conducted this study with 100 participants using The Economist. And what he found was exactly what you'd think. Most people chose this combo option. However, when you remove the print-only option, it loses that perspective, and most people chose the cheaper option. So basically, this DECOY option makes consumers feel like they're getting a deal, when in reality, they're probably not. And while this is not the only scenario in which this happens, this is one of the more frequent. Our next topic deals with the illusion of scarcity. Have you ever been shopping and had 2 options that you were trying to choose from, and one of the options only had one available in your size left, whereas the other had plenty? If so, you probably were a little more inclined for the one with only one left, because it's obviously more popular, right? In a study found in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, this exact scenario was tested with 200 different people. These people were presented with 2 cookie jars, one filled with 10 cookies and one filled with 2. People, despite being the same exact product, thought that the jar with 2 cookies was rated more valuable. It is important to note that this continued to be the case when the cause of the cookie jar to be empty was due to high demand and not necessarily from an accident. Other examples of this phenomenon can be found with airlines, only a few seats left, and other stores' sales in which the products are going fast and you better hurry in. Now to our next topic, loss aversion. What do LinkedIn, Netflix, and Spotify all have in common? No, it's not that you can use all 3 of these to slack off at work. All three of these start their consumers on a trial before you have to pay for their premium product. In a University of Chicago press journal dealing with the political economy, researchers studied this and what is known as the endowment effect. This study dealt with three of my favorite things: mugs, chocolate, and nothing, and basically found that people were more likely to act when they had something to lose versus gaining the same exact thing. So, I have a question. How does NASA organize its parties? They plan it. Yes, the joke was bad, but you thought it was kind of funny, right? I'm funny. Well, whether you did or not, this leads to our next topic, social proof. This is a rather basic topic and just means that people tend to do some things simply because other people are doing them. So Robert Cialdini, in his book Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, explores this topic further and explains that this is why sitcoms use canned laughter. Because people hear other people laughing, they might think that it is funny, or at least funnier than it was. Like my life. Another example of social proof is social media's purchasing ghost followers, spooky, in order to give the appearance that they have a larger presence on social media than they really do. So our next topic is called anchoring. Anchoring occurs because people typically rely a little too much on the first piece of information that they receive. In a study done by Todd Thorstenson in the Wiley Online Library Journal of Applied Social Psychology, he found that participants typically gave candidates a higher salary offer when that candidate first suggested something very implausible at first, rather than those that suggested something reasonable. So keep that in mind the next time you're doing a salary negotiation. This topic is also an age-old bartering principle, and it's how I got this cool shirt in Morocco. Companies use this concept heavily with sales because you are much more likely to purchase a $50 shirt marked down from $100, even though that is more than you would typically want to spend. So the final two topics are more so helpful in crafting your own small marketing projects, but are still key facts to know as either a marketer or a consumer. The first of these is the verbatim effect. This effect basically says that people are more likely to remember the gist of what someone says rather than the specific details. This was evidenced in an fMRI study done by these people, in which novelty encoding processes were tested. What this means for marketers is that people don't spend a lot of time reading the actual content of an article or ad. In fact, Chartbeat says that more than half of visitors spend only 15 seconds or less on a website. What this means is that a lot of effort needs to be put into creating an effective and compelling headline or tagline for your product or brand. Second, and the final topic that we will cover, is the clustering effect. You might recall George Miller's magic number 7. This says that a person will remember on average 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information due to the limitations of short-term memory. Because of this, people tend to cluster, hence the name, their information together. Take a grocery list for instance with a bunch of random items. You might categorize it into your meats, your dairies, your grains, or etc. What this means is that marketers will typically try to group items into their certain and respective product categories in order to increase memory retention. These were just 8 basic principles, but are key factors to consider in consumer behavior marketing. And while these were all presented as something to know as a consumer, they are major topics to consider if you are ever needing to market something, whether that be an actual product, your personal website or blog, or even yourself. In order to effectively craft a campaign to reach your audience, it is very important to know their needs, wants, and overall behaviors. Consumer behavior is also important in getting ideas across to consumers rather than just for selling something. This can be a powerful and positive tool when used in the right way. This can be seen in things like anti-smoking campaigns and the CDC's goal of reducing disease transmission through illegal drug use. Finally, understanding consumer behavior and its applications can make us smarter and more aware as consumers so that we can make sure we are spending our money exactly how we want to be. So, get out there and shop intelligently.